What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. So, Ron DeSantis is going to launch his 2024 campaign on Twitter with Elon Musk on Wednesday. So, tomorrow, Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis are going to be announcing, or Ron DeSantis is going to be announcing with Elon Musk. I don't know. It's very bizarre. Wouldn't that be crazy if Ron DeSantis picked Elon Musk as the vice president? That would be crazy. But you guys, I don't know if you guys already know how I feel about the whole thing. Me personally, I think, they're going to spend $500 million in campaign funds during this primary between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis just to bloody each other up. It makes no sense. And then probably most likely for Donald Trump to come out as the winner. Me personally, save that $500 million, put it into lawyers in all these states, and start doing what the Democrats do, man. I mean, why do Republicans always catch on so late, man? Why? It just makes no sense to me. I mean, they catch on to the game so late in everything. They're always playing defensive, man. You need to play hardball with the Democrats, okay? Republicans aren't even in the same stadium with the Democrats, more or less playing the same game. And so what they need to do, and this is my opinion, I'm not an election expert, okay? I'm just telling you my gut feeling on all this. They need to just not spend the money, save that, put it in lawyers, go to these states where all these crazy election laws were changed, get those laws. We need a Mark Elias. That's what we need. The Republicans need a Mark Elias and a Perkins Coie to go around to these states right now, right immediately, and start getting these laws changed, just like Mark Elias did weeks and months before the 2020 election. That's where I think the money should go. Go into legal ballot harvesting campaigns. You start rounding up people and volunteers. Hell, screw the volunteers. You pay people to go out. Pay people $20 an hour to go out there and start harvesting ballots, just like the Democrats do. I mean, when you're talking about $500 million, I mean, that's a lot of people you could hire to go out there and harvest ballots, man. I mean, that is exactly what Democrats do. We're just not playing the game. We still think it's a 2012 election. This is this is crazy time right now. This is time to get serious. And again, like always, Democrats are always one step ahead of Republicans, and especially the RNC. The RNC is a joke. A complete joke with Ronna McDaniel in there, the third time loser, and these people have the balls to sit there and talk about Donald Trump losing twice, which, he got 11, 12 more million votes his second time around. He got cheated out of an election. The 2020 election was rigged, folks. I think we all know that now. So the fact that people want to drop Donald Trump like it's hot because of a rigged election where he lost by 40. He still lost by only 42,000 votes in 3 or 4 different states, and they want to drop him is so bizarre to me. It is just bizarre, okay? And then they think that there was no rigging in 2022 when, okay, or sure, that's what you want to go ahead. And then so instead of sticking with the guy that got, broke records, broke the glass ceiling, they want to start all over again. They're just not playing, man. They're just not even playing the same game. People like Ben Shapiro, people like Steve Cortez, none of them are playing the same game, man. They're not even playing in the same stadium with Democrats. And so my opinion is, screw the primaries. Donald Trump is probably going to get it anyways. I don't know. We'll see. If in a month from now or 2 months from now and Donald Trump is just smoking Ron DeSantis, then just stop. Gather all that money. Donald Trump, bring on Ron DeSantis as your VP, join the same ticket, and just go to town. Split up the battlefield and just conquer and just dominate. I mean, that's an unbeatable ticket. I've been saying this. I've been the only host to be saying this, maybe to my own detriment. But I think Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are going to run on the same ticket. I think they're splitting up the battlefield. Ron DeSantis is taking the Club for Growth group. Donald Trump is taking his grassroots group, and then they're going to unite forces. They're essentially already splitting the battlefield up, and they're conquering their small little chunks because they are trying to hide all this. They're trying to hide all this from the media because the media is extremely effective. The media still has people believing that Russia collusion was real, that Donald Trump said to find people on both sides. There's still people out there that believe the media. So the media is extremely effective. And so I think they're going to join forces right at the end when the media has really essentially no time to go on the attack and create a narrative. It's going to blow people's minds. That's just what I think is going to happen. Like I said, probably to my own detriment. I don't know. But a lot of people are saying that they can't run together because it's unconstitutional or something like that. That is not the case at all, because you had George W. Bush and Dick Cheney running in the same election. And guess what, folks? They won that election. So Dick Cheney and W. Bush were both from Texas. Him and Dick Cheney were both from Texas. Cheney put his house up for sale and went to Wyoming. He went to his second home in Wyoming, and they were able to run on the same ticket. So look, Donald Trump has plenty of properties in New York, so I wouldn't see that being a problem. And maybe that's something that could happen right at the very end. Donald Trump could just be like, boom, I'm out. I put the house up for sale in Florida. I now live in New York. It would definitely be a complete mind blow it would be blowing people's minds. Of course, they would sue and they'd say all this and say all that. But again, there's precedent for it. It's happened before with Dick Cheney and the George Bush administration, the campaign. So that's not impossible. However, I don't really know. I just think it's a bad idea. I think, if Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis truly do think this country's on the verge of collapse, then they would be able, and they know for a fact, folks, they know that their grassroots think that them two on the same ticket would be an unbeatable ticket. Every person I talk to, I know it's anecdotal, that every person I talk to says that's an unbeatable ticket. Every single person says they would love to see Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis on the same ticket. So if I know that, if we know that, they have to know that. And so if they really felt like this country was on the brink of collapse and this election is the most important election in their lifetimes, then they would learn how to set their differences aside, come together, and beat the Democrats. Okay? Because, listen, we have to win this. And they have to know how important this election is, too. And listen, if they don't, then they must not think we're at the very end here. So they must not be as important as they make it out to be. So if they can't learn, and if they know that them two on the same ticket would be a monster ticket, an unbeatable ticket, and then I don't know. I don't know, but everyone I talk to says it's a big mistake, these two going after each other. I think it's just going to hurt both of them, and it's going to split the party up. That's how I feel. Everyone feels the same. So I know everyone's like, oh, yeah, but everyone will eventually vote Republican in the end, no matter who it is. I don't know, folks. I don't know. I do not know that. I do know that if it's Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump on the same ticket, absolutely. You'll get every Republican and every independent. And probably Democrats. I know plenty of Democrats that will vote for Ron DeSantis. So listen, I'm just putting my 2 cents in there. That's how I feel. So I really wasn't going to have a show out. I wasn't really going to do a show, but I seen this news come out, so I wanted to give it to you. That just came out. So literally just came out just a couple hours ago. So I wanted to report that to you. But there was something else I wanted to get into. Oh yes. So I got an article from the Gateway Pundit that a second Hunter Biden IRS whistleblower was fired after coming out and blowing the whistle. A second one. So there was the first one, and today, now there's a second one. So I got an article here from the Gateway Pundit, May 23rd, by hat tip to Cullen Linebarger. A second Hunter Biden IRS whistleblower emerges after being fired. The Biden regime threatens to criminally prosecute whistleblower. That's crazy. So essentially this is insane. So again, the corrupt Washington, D.C. machine is destroying another institution, the IRS. The FBI is finished already. It's done. There's no recovering the FBI. It's done. I know I hear a lot of pundits saying, oh, well, they're just going to have to clean it out. There is no cleaning it out, folks, because no matter which side cleans it out, the other side is not going to agree with it and is forever going to think that the FBI is corrupted and weaponized against the other. Okay, so it is absolutely a fact at this point that the FBI has been politicized and weaponized and is being and is being weaponized against American people. There's no questioning that. That's just a fact at this point. I mean, look at all the stuff that has just came out in the last week. Between the Durham report, that was a slap in the face to the FBI. And what did they come out and say? The missteps that happened in 2016, the 2020. Come on, folks. You know, and also the FBI goes all the way back to Lerner and Obama. When I voted for Obama, you had the lowest Lerner, the IRS scandal back then. All these institutions have always been corrupted, have always been weaponized, have always been politicized, but it was Donald Trump that really made these people do things they normally wouldn't do and pull their mask off. And, well, really what it is people are starting to pay attention to politics more now because of Donald Trump. So like I always say, if Donald Trump never did anything, at least he got people involved in politics. More people pay attention to politics than ever. We have more people voting now than ever. And you have more people paying attention to politics more now than ever. And so, look, that's a good thing. Because, look, it's a lot harder to keep up with the lie than it is the truth, folks. So it's just a matter of time before the Democrat Party starts losing voters. And they are right now. They are hemorrhaging voters by the thousands. And that is why they have the southern border open. That is exactly why. They were trying to change the demographics, the electoral demographics in this country. I don't care what anybody else says. Everybody knows that's what they're trying to do. There's no other reason or motive why you would have your southern border open like this if it was not for that reason. There's no other reason why, unless you're trying to purposely destroy this country, which is a possibility, or you're trying to get new voters. That's it. That's the only other reason why you would let that many people into this country illegally. And people are like, oh, yeah, but illegals can't vote. They sure can. Places like Washington, D.C. and state elections, they can. And trust me, with the way the Democrats have these election laws now in some of these states, I mean, it's absolutely insane. I just read a story where Kari Lake lost that judge throughout that last case for the Arizona election, the Katie Hobbs. Literally video footage of electioneers, a person that's supposed to be verifying signatures, he's clearing the signature as fast as it pops up on the computer. They said it's 2 seconds per ballot. He's verifying these signatures. And he did that to 270,000 signatures. So listen, folks, that is, how are you going to have signature verification, and not verify the signatures? That's just insane. And the judge says, well, the process was actually completed, so therefore they were verified. It's like, what? Like, what world are we living in? You can't possibly verify a signature that fast. And you could see the guy doing it. It's not like it's somebody else's word. It's not like hearsay, she said. You literally have a video of a guy cycling through ballots, signatures on a ballot on a computer as fast as they pop up on the computer. There's just no way he's verifying it. And he sent thousands upon thousands of those through. Well over 17,000 margin. And that was the margin that Kari Lake had and lost in that election. And the judge just lets it go. So it is clear and obvious, folks, we have a broken justice system. And I'm so tired of people on the other side harping about how the justice system is so great now, when they were just asking and chanting and cheering to defund the police just months ago. So I don't want to hear it. It's like, when it works in their favor, then they're okay with it. When it goes against them or their ideas, then they're not okay with it. So their values are completely malleable. They have no principles. Their principles, morals, and values are completely malleable. They can change and shapeshift whenever they need it. And so we can't rely on these people to have any kind of moral bearing. But the fact is you have judges out there passing up on these important election issues and nothing is getting fixed. And so it's going to happen again. That same electioneer, that same guy that was sending ballots through without verifying them in an election where you're supposed to have, by law, signature verification, and you're not verifying signatures, that is an issue, folks, and nothing is getting fixed. And we have Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump getting ready to blow $500 million on a campaign beating each other up. So look, they want to do that? Fine, go ahead. But I'm just telling you right now, this is why Republicans lose. Because they're not even playing the same game as the Democrats. Not even in the same stadium. I'm sorry. It's like they completely forgot that they just rigged a 2020 election. Like they hit a reset button. People like Ben Shapiro. People like a lot of podcast hosts, a lot of conservatives. They're just like, oh, well, Donald Trump lost twice, and now it's time for somebody in the middle. It's like, no. You did not even get to the bottom of what happened. So what, like they're not going to do it to Ron DeSantis? Of course they are. You're at a point now to where Republicans and conservatives just need to outvote the fraud. The only way they're going to win is by getting more votes than there are fraudulent votes. That's it. That is the name of the game. And that is the game the Democrats are playing. And that is the game the Republicans are not playing. And so, look, I know it's depressing, but these are the things we got to work on, and we're just not working on them. That, you got half the Republican Party, the establishment, that they just want to move on as if everything's fine and dandy, and I don't know, man. They some things have gotten fixed in some states. I agree. There's not going to be COVID now for them to hide behind as far as mass mail-in balloting, but these laws were changed, folks. So the same things that happened in 2020 are going to happen again. We're not going to know the results for a month. There's going to be counting months before. There's going to be voting months before the election, counting weeks after the election. It's going to be a disaster because none of these laws were changed back. We've never run elections like this. It's just like Yuri Bezmenov says. It's like they're trying to normalize these crooked-ass elections. This is not normal. These elections are not normal, folks. These are not normal elections. I'm sorry. This is not the way you're supposed to do it. And they don't want to spend the money on actually fixing these things and getting lawyers and getting into these states and getting down to the bottom of what happened in 2020. Then they deserve to lose then. But I'm telling you right now, spending $500 million in a year and a half or 2 years beating each other's asses is probably not in the best interest of the Republican Party, and the Democrats are going to love it. This is an easy win, folks, an easy win. Joe Biden is finished. He is finished. There's no way this guy is coming out of this. There's just not. I can see it. I can see it. Everybody knows Joe Biden and the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters right now. And what do the Republicans want to do? Not only do they not want to get to the bottom, spend the money and get to the bottom of 2020 and go into these states and bring the laws back to 2020 or before 2020, but they want to nominate a completely different voter, a completely different candidate, Ron DeSantis. Look, I have nothing against Ron DeSantis. He's great, and I think he would make a great president. And we'll see. Maybe he will come out of this on top. But what I'm saying is if in 2 or 3 months, Ron DeSantis is struggling in the polls, and I mean really struggling, if there's a huge gap, then why waste the time and money? Start focusing your attack plan on other areas, like getting these election laws fixed, man. And you could do it if you got enough money. And use that money and hire electioneers to go out and harvest ballots legally. We're not the Democrats here. We're not harvesting ballots and stuffing ballot boxes, okay? But they could be paying people to go out and harvest ballots. So anyways, enough of that. I want to continue on. How the hell you can tell that I just read a bunch of stuff about Ron DeSantis' campaign. I forgot what I was talking about. Yes, so the second Hunter Biden IRS whistleblower has come out, and so he was fired from the investigation, and then now the Biden regime is threatened to criminally prosecute. Okay, so the article goes, the Gateway Pundit previously reported that an IRS whistleblower came forward to allege the Biden regime was mishandling the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden and giving him special treatment. In 2020, Hunter Biden revealed that he was under investigation by the feds over his taxes. The regime responded to the IRS whistleblower's bravery by having him and his entire team removed from the investigation last Monday. This was the previous investigation. So this was the investigation Monday when they removed that entire investigation team that was investigating, they removed him. Sounds kind of crooked and most likely is, but moving on. The Washington Examiner has revealed that a second whistleblower has now emerged, confirming that allegations of special treatment by the Biden Justice Department and IRS corruption. Biden's IRS responded by threatening to prosecute him, according to a letter obtained by the Examiner written by the whistleblower's lawyers. The Examiner reported, quote, "Our client learned that one of the agents he supervises, the case agent on the case our client is blowing the whistle on, sent an email on Thursday in which the IRS case against raised concerns about the Hunter Biden investigation," the lawyers wrote in a letter obtained by Washington Examiner from congressional sources. But IRS leadership quickly responded, quote, "with accusations of criminal conduct and warnings to other agents to an apparent attempt to intimidate into silence anyone who might raise similar concerns." This is crazy, folks. Like, when you're threatening whistleblowers with retaliation, that's not good, because what happens? That disincentivizes whistleblowers, and that is the last thing you want. The last thing you want is some rogue agencies going out there all nilly-willy doing whatever they want, and all your employees and people involved are scared to come forth with corruption accusations because they're going to be fired and prosecuted. Like, this is the worst possible thing that can happen, and this is why I say the FBI just needs to be dissolved and dismantled. The whistleblower was then removed from Hunter Biden's case. The sole reason for the removal was for, quote, "doing the right thing and properly investigating Hunter." The second whistleblower, who worked on the probe since 2018, wrote in an email Thursday to 7 senior IRS officials, including Commissioner Daniel Werfel, that he believes he was removed for doing the right thing, including raising internal alarms about the Justice Department acting inappropriately. "Yes, I'm sure you are aware, I was removed this week from a highly sensitive case after nearly 5 years of work. I was not afforded the opportunity of a phone call directly from my special agent in charge or assistant special agent in charge, even though this had been my investigation since the start," the new whistleblower wrote. There is a human impact to the decisions being made that no one in the government seems to care about or understand," the 13-year-old veteran of the agency added. "I have spent thousands of hours on the case, worked to complete 95% of the investigation, have sacrificed sleep, vacations, gray hairs, etc. My husband and I, identifying me as the case agent, were publicly outed and ridiculed on social media due to our sexual orientation, and to ultimately be removed for always trying to do the right thing is unacceptable in my opinion," he wrote. So he's a gay guy too. So he's gay. And listen, folks, like, this is the most terrifying thing to me. How you have a obviously rogue FBI, a rogue Department of Justice, and a rogue IRS. How many other government agencies are rogue? We know the FISA courts are absolutely corrupted. So it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, You cannot have whistleblowers being retaliated against when they come up or accuse the institution of acting inappropriately. Mind you, this is somebody that has been working on this case for 5 years. Thousands of hours, he said, on this case. And they're going to remove him because this case, and not only that, but 5 years? Why does it take 5 years to investigate this? I mean, you have pictures and photos of the guy doing drugs and hiring hookers and weighing out crack cocaine on live video. So why it takes 5 years? I have no idea. This is all so bizarre to me, but it is all so obviously corrupt. It does not get any more obvious what we're watching right now. This FBI has been weaponized and politicized against the American people. And the FBI in particular, probably the IRS, because we've already had problems with the IRS in the past, and they're just as terrifying as the FBI. But the FBI needs to be dissolved, dismantled, and the work and cases need to be dispersed out to other agencies. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is no fixing the FBI at this point. No matter who you have go in there and fix it, the other side is always going to claim impropriety. Always. Because if it's Donald Trump that gets in there, cleans out the FBI, and hires all new people, then the Democrats are going to say it's all Republican, MAGA, Democrat, or domestic terrorists that are in the FBI, and vice versa. it's going to be the same as it is now. Democrats are going to have, and they're going to put all their people in there. And so there's no saving the FBI. It is finished. It is time to just let this thing go. And I don't think they should get another dime in funding. Not another dime. And look, I don't know specifically about Chris Wray. I heard he's a Republican. I heard he's a conservative. I heard he's actually a good dude. But it is clear he is way out of his league here, man. He has really screwed the pooch up on this one. I think what Chris Wray is doing is he's trying to cover the FBI's ass, and he's trying to garner more funding for it. He's trying to get the FBI that new fat $4 billion building that they want. He's trying to get them all the funding that they need, because that's essentially what the director of the FBI is supposed to do. They're supposed to have the FBI's best interest at heart. And they're supposed to speak up for the FBI, protect the FBI, and, and look out for it. And he has been, but not in a good way. He's on the wrong side here. You can't retaliate against people that are accusing you of corruption, because what does that do? That just, it's like the Streisand effect. It just makes it way worse. And so people got to ask the question, like, okay, so they accused you of improprieties and then you fire them. That sounds pretty improper. So yeah, so there's no fixing this FBI. It's gone. It is gone. And that between the Durham report, the 3 whistleblowers, and now you have the IRS, this whole scandal with the IRS where you're firing entire investigative teams that are investigating criminal activity of Hunter Biden's taxes, okay? That is another institution that probably needs to go, and they got another 87,000 IRS employees going there. What the hell, man? Seriously. Like, this is so obviously corrupt. I don't know how anybody can deny this. And then, so, on top of that, okay, on top of all the other FBI crap, on top of all the other FBI shenanigans, I got an article here from World News Era. The FBI issued 278,000 improper searches in 2021 filings. The Federal Bureau of Investigation improperly used its warrantless search powers hundreds of thousands of times in 2021, according to an unsealed Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court filing. The FBI improperly surveilled U.S. citizens 278,000 times, the filing said. The very wide net included George Floyd protesters in the summer of 2020, along with those involved in the January 6th riot at the United States Capitol building in 2021. It's unclear how the ill-gotten information would have been utilized. Well, we already know who they're targeting. Like, we know this, folks. I am so tired of playing this dumb game with the Democrats and this dumb game with these people on the left that idolize the FBI now, when just 5 years ago they hated the FBI. But I'm tired of playing this game like, we got to pretend like the FBI is still legit and not corrupted and been politicized and weaponized against American people. It is clear and obvious that is the case now. There's no denying it. You have a 4-year investigative report that has come out and said that the FBI, at the very least, acted improperly and did not do what it was supposed to do. And in fact, it did illegal stuff. Durham was such a coward for not prosecuting anybody, and that is so insane. But he essentially came out and just wrecked the FBI. So it is completely obvious now that you have a very, very corrupted FBI, and at the very least a politicized one, and that's not good either. Because just like I said a little bit ago, no matter who you get in there to clean this thing out, the other side is always going to claim that something's improper. So look, this isn't good. So in a statement, the FBI chalked the matter up to an issue with their query procedures, which had been solved. As Director Wray has made clear, the errors described in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court's opinion are completely unacceptable, a senior FBI official told Fox News. As a result of the audits that revealed these instances of noncompliance, the FBI changed its querying procedures. That's such a hard word. Its querying procedures to make sure these errors do not happen again. Sorry, folks. It's a crazy word, querying. The findings are only likely to fuel ire toward the Bureau, which has come under fire for its handling of the Hunter Biden laptop case, its role in suppressing free expression on social media, and the opening of a probe investigating ties between Russia and former President Donald Trump. Yeah, I forgot all about that. The suppression of the laptop and the collusion with social media, with the corporations to violate people's First Amendment rights. I mean, this thing is finished. It is finished. It's done. The FBI is finished. Okay, not only that, but people can't trust them now. They're not going to get cooperation with anybody. You know, it used to back in the day, if you seen an FBI agent, people wanted to help the FBI. People wanted to cooperate with the FBI. Not now. I mean, especially on the right, especially Republicans and conservatives. They're terrified of the FBI. I see videos all the time of random FBI agents going up on the people, knocking on people's doors and asking to question whoever's living in there. And then it's just, listen, it is so bizarre. It is weird. It is crazy. And look, this is the Biden administration, folks. This is the America Democrats want for you. So listen, Democrats listening, any leftists listening, you need to think good and hard if you're on the right side of history or not. I'm telling you right now, you're not. I don't know how else you need to see it. I have no idea how I can even convince you any further. But you can, when you start having the police force, the men with badges and guns, going around and targeting political opponents from a political party's opponents, you have a very big problem. And this isn't the first time it had ever happened. You had the Stasi, the secret police in East Germany. You had Nazi Germany. You had Cuba. I mean, you go on and on and on. We've seen this in the history many, many times. We've seen this in the past a lot. And I'm telling you right now, you are on the wrong side of history on this one. Now, the problem is by the time you realize, it's going to be too late. So there was a Yuri Bezmenov clip who said it best. Yuri Bezmenov was a Russian defector from the KGB. He was actually trained his entire life in espionage, in Russian and KGB espionage tactics. And he was actually trained to essentially undermine entire governments through espionage, not on the outside, but from within. The Russia had these insane programs through the KGB where they invested a lot of time and money in trying to secretly overthrow governments and undermine entire democracies. And he was part of that program. He defected from Russia. He came here to the United States, and he did an interview back in the 80s essentially telling the entire plan that the KGB was cooking up. And what he says, folks, is terrifying. It is startling because it's almost like he's talking about what we're witnessing right now. Between normalization, between demoralization and normalization. Like, it is demoralizing the population, and then having a crisis, and then normalizing the crisis. Like, it's just crazy what he talks about. So that's one issue that the FBI has. You have the 3 whistleblowers that have come out essentially telling the American people, danger, danger, danger. And what did they get? They got retaliated against. I think one Democrat on the stand even actually called them traitors to this country. Insane stuff. Insane stuff. I've never, ever heard of anything like this before in my life. To whistleblowers, folks, to people that are trying to warn the American people, these institutions are acting inappropriately and are weaponized and being politicized against the American people. So I don't know if you don't, what's it going to take in order for you to see it? I don't know. And so, this wasn't the first time that Republicans had problems with being targeted by the IRS, by the way. So Republicans if you don't remember, Republicans were targeted back during the Lois Lerner days. And this was before I was a Republican. This was before I was a conservative. I was an independent at this time. So here, we're going to go ahead and listen to that. Here, check it out.
Well, let me take the IRS situation first. I first learned about it from the same news reports that I think most people learned about this. I think it was on Friday. And this is pretty straightforward. If, in fact, IRS personnel engaged in the kind of practices that have been reported on and were intentionally targeting conservative groups, then that's outrageous, and there's no place for it. They have to be held fully accountable because the IRS, as an independent agency, requires absolute integrity, and people have to have confidence that they're applying it in a nonpartisan way, applying the laws in a nonpartisan way. And you should feel that way regardless of party. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, independent, or a Republican. At some point, there are going to be Republican administrations. At some point, there are going to be Democratic ones. Either way, you don't want the IRS ever being perceived to be biased and anything less than neutral in terms of how they operate. So this is something that I think people are properly concerned about. The IG is conducting its investigation, and I am not going to comment on their specific findings prematurely, but I can tell you that if you've got the IRS operating in anything less than a neutral and nonpartisan way, then that is outrageous. It is contrary to our traditions, and people have to be held accountable, and it's got to be fixed. So we'll wait and see what exactly all the details and the facts are. But I've got no patience with it. I will not tolerate it, and we will make sure that we find out exactly what happened on this.
When this happened, I was shocked and stunned. I said, whoa. Because as a Democrat, we always were kind of anti-FBI, anti-federal government, or anti-federal justice system. The same kind of stuff that they talk about now with defund the police, but it was more for the federal government. So the FBI, we never liked the FBI as Democrats. And what happened to Lois Lerner? Nothing. Nothing happened. So it was a proven, it turned out to be absolutely true that the IRS was specifically being weaponized against Republicans and conservatives, specifically the Tea Party movement members. And Obama comes out and says it's just absolutely unacceptable. And then what happens? Nothing, folks. Nobody was held accountable, and that's why it happened again. Like I said, there's no repairing this. I'm sorry, there's just no repairing this FBI. It is finished. It is donezo. It just needs to, like I said, dissolve, get dismantled, and then dispersed, and have the cases dispersed and taken over in other departments, and then just come up with another department, I guess. Besides, folks, we don't need all these departments. This is insane. I mean, if you want, you can have a domestic intelligence service like the MI5 over there in the UK, but we don't need an FBI. Okay, what they're trying to increase the cases and try and manipulate the numbers and inflate the numbers of white supremacy. Why, folks? It's so that they can get more funding. And I think the Biden administration has more nefarious aspects behind it. I think they got more nefarious agenda. I think they have a more nefarious agenda with using those numbers, because you heard Joe Biden at the Howard University, that all-black college, that essentially saying that white supremacy and domestic terrorists is the biggest threat to our nation today. And it's so funny because I actually got video. There was a video released today of a bunch of the students in the crowd. They made a TikTok video of them actually graduating at the speech, talking about how Joe Biden, how that was the worst graduation that they ever had in their life. And they talked about all the other people that Howard University could have brought there, like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, but yet they picked Joe Biden. And the one guy even called it out. He's like, man, this is a campaign speech. And it's great. I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys right here. Here, check this out.
This is the worst graduation of my life. This is a campaign speech. A campaign speech. You got this white man here, Howard. What is going on? I would have given a better speech. I did give a better speech at my high school graduation. My high school graduation was a lot better than this bullshit. Really disappointed. Howard, you disappointed us. Tremendous. Like,
We could have had Michael Jordan.
We could have had somebody who actually did something good for something good for the black community. You feel me?
I would have even been fine with 50 Cent. It wouldn't make sense.
Jay-Z,
Steph Curry. I don't know.
LeBron James.
Steph Curry's not even doing anything right now. It's time superfoods.
Out of all the people,
Nah, I'm not
Howard.
listening to LeBron.
Oh my Lord.
I'm not listening to LeBron. LeBron doesn't have a degree.
Like, bro, what?
I have a degree. I have something that LeBron doesn't. My legacy's stronger.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know they gotta be pissed. Out of all the people they could have got, they got Joe Biden, man. I'd be pissed too. All that work, and you could have got Jay-Z, you could have got Steph Curry, like that dude said. You could have got anybody, and you get Joe Biden, man. Probably the worst. That has to be like a slap in the face. And by the way, just for the record, I want to add this. Donald Trump signed a bill in 2019 that permanently funded historically black colleges, including Howard University, with $250 million a year. I didn't see Biden doing that. So just like this guy said, Joe Biden is a complete joke. And it's just a shame that Howard University picked this old white dude to speak at their graduation. And when I go back, I heard the speech again today. I listened to it again today. Who goes to an all-black college, sits up on the stage as president, and tells the entire college that white supremacy is our nation's biggest threat? I mean, what the hell is going on here? What is up with that, man? Like, that is, my God, dude. Like, really? Like, it's just so uncomfortable. And I'm so glad that those kids came out with that video, and they are dead on. They could have brought LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and made it a memorable college graduation. But no, they had to bring stuttering, bumbling old fool Joe Biden to do a campaign speech. So just like the student said there in the video, congratulations, Howard University. You really dropped the ball on that one. And so yeah, that's all I got for today. I just really wanted to come out and talk to you about the Ron DeSantis campaign and that whole election deal there and how I felt about all that. Listen, like I said, I don't think it's a good idea that they go against each other, spend $500 million just for Donald Trump to end up being the primary winner. And because, Ron DeSantis has to make up. Does anyone think Ron DeSantis is going to get over 75 million votes? No, folks. No, he's not. No, he's not. And because you're going to have a lot of Trump supporters they're not going to vote for him. Unfortunately, they're just not. And so I don't know why somebody would want to take a guy that went from 65 million to 75 million and then this time just drop him and then start all over again with someone like Ron DeSantis. I don't get it. I just don't get it. As if they're not going to cheat against Ron DeSantis. Like they're just magically not going to cheat with Ron DeSantis. Of course they're going to cheat. They need to take that $500 million they're going to spend on the campaign, split it up, and go change these election laws back to 2016 laws, not the 2020 laws. What the Democrats did to our election system is shameful. Shameful. I mean, look at our elections now. They are a disaster. I just wanted to talk to you guys about that, and then I kept hearing these people talking about how the FBI isn't being weaponized. It's another conspiracy theorist by the Republicans, and, there's just so much proof out there that the FBI is being weaponized. So for all these people out there to be pushing the line for the government machine, just remember it was just a few years ago when Democrats were anti-FBI, and just literally months ago were chanting defund the police. And so I don't want to defund the police. I think that was the dumbest movement this country has ever seen, and certainly most damaging one this country's ever seen, other than the George Floyd or possibly walls don't work. That slogan was pretty dangerous and dumb too, as we're certainly starting to experience now. But yeah, I'm anti-federal federal police officers, because I just don't like guys with badges and guns working for the federal government, and then going out there and telling 75 plus million people that they're all domestic terrorists, and then tell the rest of the American people that those 75 million potential domestic terrorists are the biggest threat to our country and are the biggest threat to our nation. That to me is actually terrifying, and we actually seen those tactics used in the Stasi back in East Germany. That is almost to a T what the Stasi used to do. In fact, you know what? I have something right here. So I just want to, and it most certainly leads to tyranny. And so there was an Aristotle quote. Aristotle once said, "Tyrants preserve themselves by sowing fear and mistrust among the citizens, by means of spies, by distracting them with foreign wars, by eliminating men of spirit who might lead a revolution, by humbling the people and making them incapable of decisive action." That was Aristotle. It's funny how a guy 2,500 years ago or 1,500 years ago or whenever seemed to make more sense than most of our leaders today. All right, so here's some tactics. Here's some tactics here. I actually had to dig pretty deep for these, actually. I was doing a lot of research on the Stasi because I was trying to think of when we had actually, because some of the tactics we're starting to see now from the FBI and the IRS and the DOJ, they started flipping a switch. I'm like, where did we see this before? And so I went back. And so you're probably going to be hearing this word a lot because it correlates with these people the most. It's called the Stasi. And you may have heard it before. So the Stasi, I'm not going to say the German name, but it was short for Ministry for State Security, not the Ministry of Truth like in Robert Orwell's 1984 or George Orwell's 1984, but the Ministry of State Security. So, and speaking of that, George Orwell actually wrote 1984 back in the 50s. I believe it was the 50s, maybe in 40s, but he was referring to the Cold War era, the Stasi era, all that. That was the times that he was actually referring to. And so that's why all this stuff kind of flipped a switch with me. Like I always recommend, if you never read that book, go out. That is the one thing I want all my listeners, that is the homework for you, is go out, read George Orwell's 1984. You can get it for like $5 or $10 on Amazon. You can get it used, I think, for like $4. Read that book, folks. I'm telling you, read that book. It will change your life. And it's almost like a playbook for these people. So anyways, the Stasi was short for the Ministry of State Security, was the official state security service in East Germany, the German Democratic Republic. During the Cold War era. It was established in 1950 and operated until the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and subsequent reunification of Germany in 1990. The Stasi was notorious for extensive surveillance and repression. That's the Patriot Act, folks. The Patriot Act actually allowed the federal government to spy on citizens. So we're actually starting to feel the consequences from that situation. And now you know why after 9/11 they rammed that bill through as fast as they could, because they knew it was the only time they'd get a chance to. And I think we're really starting to pay the price now. All right, so the Stasi had broad powers and a vast network of informants, estimated to be hundreds of thousands, who reported on the activities and opinions of their fellow citizens, including friends, family members, and colleagues. The Stasi used various methods such as wiretapping, hidden cameras, infiltration, and psychological manipulation to maintain control and gather information. Does that sound familiar, folks? Social media. These people are spying on you through social media. They absolutely are. They absolutely are. So it may not be wiretapping and hidden cameras, but they most certainly know everything you're doing, every person you're calling, who you're talking to, and based off of what I just read, the FBI had issued 278,000 warrantless or permitless searches. So there you go. And then psychological manipulation to maintain control and gather information, that's social media too. Look what they did during the 2020 election. They used social media to suppress votes. They used the social media to hide a story. And then now they're using social media to scare people from doing anything like that again. Look, just telling you. So the primary goal of the Stasi was to protect the ruling Socialist Unity Party. That kind of sounds like the Uniparty establishment we got right now. And maintain ideological purity of East Germany. It targeted individuals and groups considered to be a threat to the regime, including, get this folks, this is crazy, including political dissidents, human rights activists, intellectuals, and even ordinary citizens suspected of disloyalty. I mean, that nails it to a T. Political dissidents, I don't know, like Trump. Human rights activists, I don't know. Who was that guy, that pro-life activist that was just swatted by the FBI SWAT team and then found and got acquitted by a Supreme Court? And then intellectuals, that's people like Steve Bannon and what's Michael Flynn, all the other people that spoke too loud and knew too much. They got arrested too. The Stasi arrested them too. And even ordinary citizens suspected of disloyalty. So you go up against the regime, you're going to pay the price. And so that's exactly what the kind of stuff we see in New York with the mob. That's how they mob rule. Alvin Bragg, they'll arrest anybody that they think you're going up against the regime. Look at these people at the IRS, the whistleblowers. These are ordinary citizens, folks. And they're calling out the regime, and they're being threatened with criminal prosecution. So let's go over some of the tactics. So number one of the tactics they used was surveillance and informants. The Stasi had an extensive network of informants and agents who infiltrated all aspects of society. The pervasive surveillance created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion, discouraging dissent and ensuring that potential threats to the regime were identified and neutralized. The knowledge that someone could be a Stasi informant inhibited open criticism of the government. Yep, look what they're doing with the whistleblowers again. They're retaliating against whistleblowers and threatening prosecution. Why, folks? To send a message to all the other would-be whistleblowers. You better not come forward and you better not call out what we're doing wrong or you'll be next. That's exactly what they're doing. All right, number 2, repression and control. The Stasi employed a wide range of repressive measures to suppress opposition. This included arbitrary arrests. I think we've been seeing plenty of those. Detentions, interrogations, and imprisonment of political dissidents, human rights activists, and those perceived as threats to the regime. The harsh treatment of dissenters served as a deterrent to others and helped maintain control. Okay, so who's getting like 10 years in prison for parading on government property? I'm pretty sure that's the J6 rioters. The people that didn't even enter the building are getting like 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes 10 years. They served one guy 20 years in prison, and he wasn't even at the Capitol that day. They got him on conspiracy or on seditious conspiracy. Conspiracy, folks, 20 years. And he wasn't even there. Why do you think they do that? To send a message. I guarantee you nobody will ever protest their government again at that Capitol. And that is wrong, and that violates people's rights, that violates the Constitution. But that is exactly what they're doing. Nancy Pelosi didn't set that wire up around the Capitol, for their protection. Nancy Pelosi didn't have machine gunner nests set up around the Capitol building after January 6th for their protection. There wasn't even any ammo in the guns, folks. They did that to send a message. Just like they're arresting all these political dissidents. That's to send a message. Look what they're doing to Donald Trump's lawyers. They attack his lawyers so that his lawyers don't want to represent him. And they attack his lawyers so his lawyers send a message. They're doing that to send a message. You want to represent Donald Trump? You better be prepared. And that's exactly what they're doing, folks. We all see it. At least I see it. I wish more people would see it, man. But this is the Stasi back in East Germany. The secret military police. So number 3, psychological manipulation. The Stasi used psychological methods to manipulate and control individuals. This included techniques such as spreading rumors, isolating dissidents, undermining trust among opposition groups, and using psychological pressure to coerce individuals into cooperating with Stasi or betraying others. So the J6 electors, How many people were pressured to turn on Donald Trump? How many? I call that, folks, psychological pressure to coerce individuals into cooperating with the Stasi, don't you? You can replace the name Stasi with the FBI. But that's what they did. They're doing the same tactics, folks. I got a couple more here. Propaganda and media control. Ooh, the Stasi loved this one. The East German government tightly controlled the media and used it as a tool for spreading propaganda and promoting the ideology of the ruling party. Critical voices were suppressed. I don't know. Who's that sound like? The New York Post? Getter? Tucker Carlson? We can go down the list, folks. We can go down the list. And alternative viewpoints were rarely presented. Oh, they got this one to a T. This is the Democrat Party tactic if I've never seen one before. Isn't that insane? And this helped shape public opinion and maintain support. So they censored alternative viewpoints. So alternative viewpoints were rarely presented, and this helped shape public opinion and maintain support for the regime. Man, this sounds just like these people, folks. Is this not crazy that what we're seeing today is the same stuff they were doing back, the same stuff the Stasi, the Ministry of State Security was doing back during the 1950s, back during the Cold War. And then, so this helped shape public opinion and maintain support of the regime. Folks, who are this regime's biggest fighters? The Democratic Party, the leftists, the BLM, the Antifa, all the leftists you see on Facebook, all these people supporting what the Biden regime is doing. So when you talk about locking up their political opponents, they have all these Democratic leftists right there cheering, yes, lock him up, yeah. We don't even know what he did. He didn't even commit a crime, but we want him locked up. Yes, that's what we want. They salivate. They salivate at the just mere thought of Donald Trump going to prison or going in handcuffs. They salivate and cheer and celebrate when Republicans or conservatives are either locked up or killed or whatever it is. The Kyle Rittenhouse is the perfect example. They were furious when Kyle Rittenhouse got acquitted from that trial. Furious when he got found innocent. Telling you, every regime needs them, folks. Every single one. The communists had them. The Nazis had them. The Stasi had them. Every regime, every evil regime always has their supporters. Always. Okay? Where did all the Nazis go after World War II? They weren't all killed. They didn't all escape. No, folks. What they do is they slowly creep back into the shadows of society as if they had nothing to do with the entire thing. And that's what we're seeing right now, man. All these ardent supporters of all this, the people that want to censor the other side, the people that say speech is violence, the people that threaten with mobs against, what's her name, the swimmer? Yeah, Riley Gaines. Look, there was a mob that chased after her into a school room, into a building, and had her barricaded and blocked into a room for hours because she spoke up against transgender athletes. This are the people, folks. These are the stormtroopers, just like the Stasi. And the Biden regime is actually is using these people the same way the Stasi used their citizens. Every single one of these evil regimes always have supporters. Always. All throughout history. There's always been supporters of this stuff. Because they have to. These evil regimes don't rise to power with not having support from the people. Okay? Even Hitler had support from the German people. Okay? Maybe not a majority, but a lot of people. You heard it right here. The Stasi used sometimes hundreds of thousands of informants. What do you think this is? This is what we're looking at right here. I'm just reading you the history, folks. Just like Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. And so I'm just telling you the history. All right, one of the last tactics they used was political and economic patronage. The SED and the Stasi maintained a system of patronage whereby individuals who demonstrated loyalty to the party were rewarded with positions of power, access to privileges, and economic benefits. Oh man, this created a vested interest for many in supporting the regime and discouraged potential challengers. You guys remember the agent, the lead agent in charge that was involved in the FBI lead agent in charge that was involved in the Gretchen Whitmer fake kidnapping plot in Michigan, right? You know what happened to him? Did he get fired when all those people got acquitted because they entrapped him? Did he get fired? No, folks. He got promoted. Guess where he got promoted to? He got promoted out of Washington, or out of Michigan and into Washington, so that he can go after January 6th defendants. Yes. The regimes always need their most ardent supporters. They always need their most loyal supporters. Not only that, but what about all the agents that went to Twitter? You guys remember when, Jesus, I think it was they did when Elon Musk bought it, there was 250 former FBI agents that went over to Twitter and actually worked at Twitter. They left the FBI and found jobs at Twitter. Yes, that's how much they were colluding with one another. So look, I'm telling you folks, I just want to call this stuff out. I want you guys to just be informed and up to date. I'm going to play a Yuri Bezmenov video here soon, and we're going to go through that because it is mind-blowing. But as far as this goes, this is history, folks. This isn't lies. This is stuff that actually happened. This was the Stasi, the secret police back in the Cold War, and we're seeing the same tactics being used right now by our Justice Department, by our FBI, by our IRS, by our institutions are doing the same thing the Stasi did. And this is not the only one. You had other regimes do this evil stuff too. But I'm just telling you, this should wake people up. When you have the United States of America even coming close to something the Stasi was doing, and more or less 1, 2, 3, 4 tactics of what the Stasi was doing, that's an issue. And I think people need to pay attention. And so if you're a Democrat listening to the show, I just want you to know, you're on the wrong side of history. I promise you are. And regardless of what happens to me and what happens to the rest of us, after we're long gone, I'm telling you, you're going to be on the wrong side of history. And so, it's not too late. You can still save this country. That is, of course, if you're not like a rabid leftist and want to see this country destroyed. I know that's not all Democrats. I think that's where Republicans get mixed up too. It's not all Democrats. I know tons of Democrats that are middle of the road, more, center left, middle of the road. It's the leftists, folks. The leftists are the ones that support these Stasi tactics like we're seeing right now from the FBI. It's the leftists that cheer and support when Republicans and conservatives get locked up. It's the left that supports the FBI being weaponized against American citizens. But it's going to be the left that's not going to support it when the FBI comes after them. Because guess what? Just like in every other regime too in the past, they always come after the most effective side. So when they're done squashing their dissidents, they always come after the side that helped them rise to power. Why? Because they know that side was effective, and they got to get rid of the most effective side, because they can be effective against the regime, and they don't want them catching on and then being as effective towards the regime. So they take care of them next. So look, I don't want to fearmonger you or anything crazy, but it is what it is. So just before we leave, I want to throw a couple more situations out there. So Tucker Carlson was, just like I said, folks, I don't mean to harp on myself. I do not like the self-aggrandizing. I'm not like that. But I was the first one to call this when Tucker Carlson was fired. It was indeed part of the agreement of the Fox lawsuit, the Fox Dominion lawsuit. So there was an agreement that Fox News was to fire Tucker Carlson as part of the lawsuit that Dominion had against Fox. So that's what they did. They fired Tucker Carlson. That news just came out just yesterday, I think. And some guy is writing a book about Tucker. It's called Just Tucker. And that's actually going to be pretty cool. And he's actually the one that came out with this news. And we haven't seen anything from Tucker yet, but That should be pretty interesting. Also, keep up with the Anheuser-Busch boycott. This is absolutely insane, folks. Bud Light is trying its best to come after to get their drinkers back, man. I mean, it's just crazy. So now Bud Light is teaming up with Harley Davidson, I think. They came out with a camo can just to, it's crazy. And I do have to say this, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch is finished. They're not coming back from this. And that's something else that I called in the very beginning. I don't know what it was. I just felt it in my gut. Anheuser-Busch they poked the bear at the wrong time, man. It's like any other company did this and didn't get boycotted as bad as Bud Light. So like NBA did it, NFL did it, all these other companies did it. And somehow Bud Light, not having it, dude. People just had enough of it and just bam, smoked them. And really what I think it is Bud Light needed the drinkers more than the drinkers needed Bud Light. Bud Light was not that good of a beer. People just liked Bud Light and Budweiser because it was just American patronage, man. It was just American. It was in our DNA. It was just patriotic beer. People just bought it because, like I said, their dads drank it. They grew up with it. They grew up with their dads drinking it while working on their cars. And they grew up with it with their family members having parties while they're little kids walking around. And then the parents give them a sip of the beer. And they remember the color of that beer can, that red and white beer can. They remember it. And so it's been a part of so many people's lives in this country that, I think that's the only thing that kept people buying it. But once you do that, then Anheuser-Busch has nothing else to offer people because their beer just sucks. It's not even really that good. So, but yes, keep up the boycott. And I have another article coming out. I got another show coming out. On the next show, we're going to be talking about how Target needs to be getting the Bud Light treatment. So everything we just did to Anheuser-Busch, we need to be doing the Target because Target is doing some wild stuff, man, coming out with baby clothes, trans baby clothes, and bathing suits with tuck pockets to where kids can tuck their junk in there. Like all this crazy evil stuff, satanic stuff. Literally, the clothes designer has on his webpage that he wants people to worship Satan because Satan accepts transgenders. Yes, folks, we're going to go into it. I have some stuff. I just got to finish up a few more things and get some more facts first. But yes, that is going to be insane. So get that. A Target is supporting a pro-Satan clothes designer for transgenders, for babies. Like, dude, we are reaching epic levels of insanity in this country. So I know that's not much hope to give you guys. I don't really have any hope to leave off. I guess there is some hope. We're all here. We're all above the ground. We're all alive. God has blessed us to be breathing the air. God has blessed you to be listening to me right now. God has blessed you to enjoy this world, to see the colors, to smell the aromas, to look up into the sky and see the beautiful sky. Like, just consider yourself blessed that we are even here. Because listen, the chances of us actually being here and talking to one another, or actually you listening and me talking to you, is like 1 in like 15 quadrillion. I mean, the chances of us even being here is wild. So look, God has given you all a destiny, and I'm just glad we could share it here together. So I'm just glad you guys could share your time with me. And I really do. Again, I appreciate you guys listening to my show. Thank you guys so much for sharing my show. You guys are doing great. I appreciate it. Please continue to share it with your friends and family. We got to get the show out there. We got to keep people informed with what is going on. People need to know about the FBI being weaponized. People need to know about Target having satanic clothes designers. People need to know about all this stuff. I just really want to thank you guys. You guys were great. I really appreciate it. Please continue to share and follow the show. Tell your friends and family. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Like I said, I'm working on getting some interviews. We're going to be doing that soon. I'm just, like I said, that's all that stuff takes time. I don't have a producer to really help me with any of this stuff. So as always, thank you guys. And I want you guys to have a good day. Have a great week. God bless you and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.